stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Hey guys, welcome back for your second episode of the Grimerica show. Looks by the ticker that we've got a few people listening anyway from all over the world, so we're glad to have you. Welcome back. Hopefully you came back for the second show. With me as always is my co-host Graham. How's it going, Graham? What's
Hey,
new?
it's going great. I'm excited about our first podcast on iTunes now.
Yeah, it's available on iTunes. We got approved. It only took a couple of days. Actually, it was pretty quick, so that's good. We are listed under explicit. I don't know what that does to anything, but I mean, most people listen to podcasts, I'd imagine, are over 18 anyway.
Yeah,
I guess
that's okay.
anyone who listens to this podcast is over 18.
Let's keep it explicit for a while, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, no doubt. I find it a little better being able to not watch our mouths and let people kind of just go where they go.
Yeah.
So what's new with you this week? What have you been up to in your off time?
Well, I'm on day 32 of 90 of my commitment to daily intense exercise. It's feeling pretty good, actually.
That sounds just terrible. Daily intense exercise.
Well, it's not always super intense, but I try and do a little bit every day. So
I went golfing on the weekend, so that was mine. I actually did quite a bit of yard work too. I did all my yard work Saturday so that I could go golfing on Sunday.
Oh, that's good.
It was the only sunny day of the week. We've been getting way too much rain.
Yeah, it looks like it's doing it again here. So
Yeah, but it's pretty funny. I was actually looking around on my Twitter today, and I seen there was a post about May 25th being the 25th anniversary of the Phoenix Lander, and they were kind of like listing all the top, not the top, but all the things we've learned about Mars in the last 5 years, and it's like confirming water and stuff like that. I just thought it was pretty funny where we were just talking to a guy that's been saying there's water on Mars for the last 15 years, liquid water at that.
yeah, if you haven't heard our first podcast, it was with Ephraim Palermo about his research on the stains on Mars and how he kind of figured out it was water about a decade before they actually came out and admitted it.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. If you haven't heard it, you should listen to it. I noticed we had an awful lot of downloads in the Portland area, so thanks, Ephraim, for getting our audience started. Oh yeah, so I emailed Mars One today too.
Okay.
They have a press division for interviews and such like that. So I emailed asking for an interview. So maybe we can find out once and for all if it's a scam or not.
Oh, no, that would be a good idea. Get him on the podcast for an interview?
Yeah, we'll see what they say. I mean, we're not. It's our third episode, or they might not. We might not be ready yet. But I mean, it was worth a shot.
Yeah, we've had some feedback already that some people think it's bunk, too.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe we can get them on and they can speak for themselves.
You think that would give me priority in the lineup then?
Maybe. Maybe they'll just offer you right there on the air and you'll have to make a split decision.
Here's my 40 bucks.
Yes or no, right now. Yes or no. 5, 4, 3.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
you're gone. See you later. If that happens, I'll be looking for a new co-host, so you can send your applications to feedback@grimerica.ca. Anyway, speaking about the website, we've got the new site up and running. Works a lot better, looks a lot better than the old one. The coolest thing about the new site is you can just sign up. If you're looking to try some writing or do some contributing, you can just go and then down in the bottom left corner you can sign up, and that automatically makes you a Grimerica contributor. So you type up your submissions and you post them, and we take a look at them, and then if we like them, we publish them. So it's a place to get your foot in the door, or maybe do a little venting, whatever you like. And feel free to make some comments on the show on the website as well. Let us know what you like, what you don't like.
Yeah, it looks really good. Thanks for putting in all that work.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. The problem was that I designed the whole fucking thing the first time, and I had a pretty good idea of how to do the transfer, but I was like, you know what? We pay so much a year for our web space, so they have professionals. I might as well let them do it. Of course, the professionals are from the other side of the world, and there's probably a communication issue, because what they ended up doing was deleting both websites. So if you went to fucking Grimerica.com or .ca, all you got was 404 white page, nothing. So, and this was probably about 11:30 at night. It started with the problems. So I was on with them. They deleted everything. I kind of freaked out a little bit, and then he was able to restore it, but it was like none of the content was really there. And so then I had lost. We had basically lost 5 months of content, because once that shit's gone, there's no way to get it back. The only place we've got it is was online. So he was able to restore it, but with no pictures, and a bunch of my design was gone. So it took me till about 1 or 2 in the morning to get it all straightened out, and I still ended up having to do about another 8 hours of work in.
And that's not the only thing that's been deleted recently. Considering this is a tardy intro to RPJ's interview.
Yeah, that one's on me though. That one I can't blame on anyone but myself. We had actually recorded this a couple days ago, and when I went to try and put it all together last night, I noticed that I had deleted it. You know what happened is because we had done it at the same time as we did the E-Frame. So I had them both saved as for the E-Frame interview. And then, of course, as soon as I finished the E-Frame and it was posted, I mean, those files take up a lot of space. The raw data files, before they're all converted, they're like almost a gigabyte each. And we have so many different copies of them on my computer, they build up really quick. So as soon as the E-Frame was posted, I deleted everything E-Frame. I mean, I've got a master copy of every interview. As soon as we're done, it instantly gets uploaded to our cloud account. So we'll never lose those. But I think I might start uploading these ones as soon as we're done too, because it sucks to lose content.
Yeah, no kidding. I can't even remember what we talked about.
Yeah, it was probably gold though. It was probably gold.
It felt gold.
No matter how good this one is, the other one was fucking better.
Yeah, it felt like gold. So in the meantime, I've been reading Micah's book because we've got Micah Hanks coming up and talking about his book UFO Singularity. I mean, I've seen his lecture a couple times, and sometimes I feel like I don't need to read the books when I see people talk about it live or on podcast or video. But this was really, really good. I'm so glad that I put the time in to read the book. I honestly feel like he grabbed all these ideas and all these thoughts I've had, and he just out of my head, and he put them on paper. It was great. So I can't wait to talk to him about getting into his book there.
Yeah, it was. It's a really good read. I've still got about 50 pages left I've got to read. We have Mike on in 2 days, so I'll probably read them tomorrow and be ready to go for Wednesday. But the first 200 pages have been fantastic. I've really enjoyed them. I read his first book too, Magic, Mysticism, and the Molecule, and I liked it. But this one I've been enjoying a lot more for sure. And then of course after Micah we've got Scotty Roberts, so we've got kind of the two paradigm princes in a row back to back.
Oh boy.
So I'm sure we'll be talking some paradigm symposium along the way too. Calgary was just voted like the second highest place in Canada for UFOs.
Oh yeah?
And Canada's a hot spot right now too. Yeah, I just read that the other day.
Huh.
Canada is one of the higher countries, and Calgary is the second highest city. Or maybe not Canada's one of the higher, maybe it's Canada's doubled or something.
But Chris Rutowski, I've got one of his books here. He's a pretty good ufologist in Canada. I think he came out with one of those stories.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe that might be where I heard it, but I was reading it and they had it all broken down by city. I think Toronto was number one. For some reason, I'm thinking Toronto was number one. Pretty funny how you haven't heard anything about all these Monsanto protests going on all over North America in the mainstream. I haven't heard anything about it other than Twitter, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
But I don't know. I'm kind of like 50-50 with Monsanto, because like part of me says shit like that is the future and it's inevitable.
Oh man.
But then
yeah, but it doesn't have to happen the way it happens. That's
no, that's what's fucked up about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe not in our lifetime or our kids' lifetime, but if humanity's still around 100 or 200 years down the road, then it's going to have to be in some sort of either some sort of population control, or you got to feed all these people somehow, right?
Yeah.
without absolutely devastating the planet's resources.
Yeah.
There's
Or
only
killing animals.
Yeah, exactly. So that should make you fucking happy. You should be pro GMO.
No,
Let's
I don't
go
like the way
GMO.
I don't like the way it happens.
No, it's fucked up. Because it's corporations doing it, and it's
Yeah,
all
it's
secret, and
yeah,
the
it's all
pills. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's fucked
yeah.
up. Monsanto is an evil corporation, but GMOs in general, I think, are inevitable. Maybe not in our lifetime, like I say, but in mankind's future as a whole, GMOs have to come along the way, unless we can, as the singularity says, somehow merge with machines and just like maybe plug in the wall or stare at the sun.
Well, you better be careful what you say about corporations like that. You'll have the Monsanto men in black at your door.
I'm ready. What about? Did you see those crazy tornadoes?
No, actually, I haven't.
Oh man, it just
Yeah.
leveled the place. F5. Those are rare. Just fucking decimated. Alex
So
Jones is saying harp, I think.
yeah, I wonder. Eh?
It's always harp.
Well, there's some interesting stuff about weather modification instruments.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it much. Maybe the thing that sets it off to me is that DARPA or whatever it is owns a lot of it,
Yeah,
25% or something. So
yeah.
it's got to be up to something, but I don't know if it's causing tornadoes on its own people.
Yeah, I don't really see what the purpose of that is.
I wonder how long it is before you can just hack the fucking weather. Life hack. I seen a thing how to make some cool IKEA speakers on a life hack. All right, well, on to our guest. Our guest for this episode. We actually did the interview about a week and a half ago or a week ago. We're a little behind, but our guest is the mysterious Red Pill Junkie, of course. One of the more prolific, Fortean bloggers out there. He blogs on MU, Intrepid Magazine, Daily Grail, among others. Not to mention comments on basically everything on the internet.
Yeah, he does the red pills of the week on Mysterious Universe, and I think he contributes to the Grayling Report in some capacity.
Yeah, the red pills of the week are definitely my favorite.
We met him in person at the Paradigm Symposium 2012 in Minnesota, which Scotty Roberts and Micah Hanks put on, and it was just great being able to chat with him for like hours and pick his brain about stuff. And he's such an interesting character, and he came in with this mask. What?
Oh yeah, the luchador mask.
Luchador mask, yeah. And I thought, I wonder if that's Red Pill Junkie, because we didn't really know who he was at the time.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. What an entrance.
Yeah. Tall guy. It was great to talk with him, and he's such an interactive guy, right? Like if you comment on any of his stories, he's always willing to put the time in to get back to you or ask you questions or answer your questions. It's just really, really good to have that communication, all lines always open with him.
Yeah, me and him got in shit for talking too much during the dinner panel at Paradigm Symposium. I remember that.
Yeah, I tried to derail that with no success. Scotty Roberts had to come over and hush you guys up.
Even that didn't work.
I was like slowly pushing my chair away from the table, trying to get out of there.
It was a good times. That's when I got on TV too, so
Yeah.
double whammy.
Yeah.
But no, it's pretty good. Red Pill's been, even when I first started doing some blogging on Daily Grail and first started the website, he's kind of been a bit of a mentor all along the way and providing us with some helpful feedback and helping us get things to where they are today. So it's definitely going to be pretty exciting to pick his brain for an hour and a half.
Yeah, and he did the artwork actually for our podcast, and he did it after our interview, I believe. So it's now that we have this tardy intro, we're able to actually talk about that, and what a great job he did on that. And I don't know about I'm tripping out a little bit here because I swear to God I've seen that artwork, like that exact picture. I don't know if I've got memories from the future or something like that, but honestly, it gives me a creepy deja vu. That whole thing with the UFO plugged into the headphones and the Easter Island guy. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. So
Oh yeah, he did an absolutely phenomenal job on the artwork. It looks just fantastic. Thanks a lot, Red Pill. We appreciate that. Yeah, that was after the interview, so we don't talk about it in the interview because I think I asked him a couple of days later.
Yeah.
So that's what our podcast art is. So I'm sure you've all seen it. You're probably looking at it on your iPhone right now. That is John. Just another avenue of the mysterious Red Pill Junkie.
All right. Well, enough chatting about RPJ. Let's get him on the show here. Without any further ado, this is a Red Pill Junkie.
Yeah, this was a great chat. So I hope you guys enjoyed as much as we enjoyed recording it. All right, guys, we're here this week. We've got the mysterious and compelling Red Pill Junkie. First let's say hi to Graham. How you doing this week, Graham?
Hey, I'm doing great.
Okay, thanks for coming, Red.
Thanks for inviting me, man. I know I'm a little nervous. I'm glad that you guys are the first to pop my podcast cherry, as it were.
Great.
That's awesome.
But be gentle with me.
So I guess the first question on everyone's mind is just who is Red Pill Junkie, and how did he come to be so prolific in the world of Forteana?
Who is indeed? Well, I guess I started using the nickname around 2006, 2007. I was checking out Alan Boyle's Cosmic Log on MSNBC, and from there I managed to find out the Daily Grail, dailygrail.com, and I became a regular member there. And after a little while, the administrator of that website, Greg Taylor, asked me to become one of his news admins, collaborators, the ones who write the weekly news briefs for the site. And at first I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this. My English is not that good. Where am I going to find interesting stuff, interesting links to put? He asked me to think about it, and after spending a few weeks, I think it was New Year's, I was on a vacation with my family, and I said, you know what, the hell with it, let's do this. I want to do this, and from there, I started to find, thanks to the Daily Grail, I started to find all these other cool websites, Radio Misterioso, UFO Mystic, Cryptomundo, and I like to comment on things. If I find something interesting, I like to give my input, and from there, things started to build up, and then our friends from Australia, Benjamin Grundy and Aaron Wright, asked me to become one of the regular contributors at Mysterious Universe, and I've managed to keep myself busy.
Yeah, no doubt. The red pills are definitely out of all your work. That's definitely my favorite. I try not to miss them. They're great. We link to them at Grimerica, so they must be good.
And I love how often you comment on everything and how many different venues you're kind of involved in, and you seem to really have that knack of finding unusual stuff. Even that little video on MU recently, that old Star Trek Singularity one. Like, where do you find that stuff?
The Beecher. I don't know. It's from the first Star Trek motion picture. I love that movie.
Oh, I love Star Trek. See, that's the thing. You should see this guy's fucking Twitter feed, Graham. You got to get on Twitter. That's like all day long. This shit just bombards you.
Yeah, I will very soon, probably.
You went to see the last Star Trek movie, right?
Yeah, I went last night. Yeah.
How was it?
It caught me off guard. It'll catch you off guard. I don't want to give away too much, but it was good. It had some humor to it. Overall, I liked it. There was a couple times I was a little disappointed, but it'll definitely. I'd imagine word's gonna get out pretty quick, but I don't want to play spoiler for you two. But there's a pretty big twist, like almost right at the beginning, where you realize where the movie's going.
Okay.
And kind of how it relates to the old ones, and it's pretty interesting. But I will say this, without this doesn't give really too much away. It's just the first 2 minute scene of the movie. I will say a spoiler alert for anyone who's going to be listening who hasn't seen the movie. This is only the opening 5 minutes, but if you don't want to hear anything, maybe just turn down your radio. So the opening scene, they're on a planet, and it just so happens it's called Nibiru.
Oh,
And there's this volcano that's going to erupt. So Kirk and McCoy go down, and they disguise themselves to distract these ancient tribes people. They steal this sacred scroll and run away with it. So all these people chase them out of the village, away from the erupting volcano, and it saves them. And then anyway, they end up jumping in the water and swimming down to the bottom of the ocean, and the Enterprise is there parked on the bottom of the sea. And Spock's in the volcano trying to stop the eruption, and his line gets severed, so he's stuck there. And Kirk has to choose whether he's going to let Spock die or follow the Prime Directive, right? Which is not letting anyone ever see you.
Yeah, the Prime Directive that they keep breaking every single time.
Yeah, exactly. Every single time. So, of course, Kirk decides he's going to save Spock. So the Enterprise comes busting out of the ocean and goes over the volcano and out of sight. But all these tribes people see it, right? And right away, the shaman starts drawing the Enterprise in the sand with his stick. And then they all start bowing towards it, right? So I just thought it was a hilarious little play on Ancient Aliens. I'm sure Giorgio Tsoukalos just loved it.
So the Ancient Aliens dive in the movies. It's still going strong.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually, me and Graham were just talking about that before we came on with you, about how, it seems these little subtle things, maybe disclosure is happening.
It's not even subtle. It's just so obvious.
Well, there's always been talk that the Hollywood industry has been used by the CIA and the U.S. government in order to condition the public to the idea that we're not alone, that we are being regularly visited by all these different civilizations. So it won't be such a shock when it actually happens. There's this guy Robbie Graham. He runs a wonderful blog, Silver Screen Saucers, and he's going to publish a book, I think, this year. And his thing is to investigate all these claims. The links between the intelligence community and the entertainment industry.
Isn't he doing even his master's or his doctorate based on that?
He actually dropped. He dropped out of the doctorate.
Oh wow!
He decided that he wanted to pursue his career as an investigator, and that his studies were coming in the way.
Wow!
Huh.
But he allied himself with this guy Bryce Zabel. The guy who wrote the book After Disclosure with Rich Dolan.
Yeah.
And he's also the producer of this really cool TV series, Dark Skies. Did you remember it?
Yeah, I watched it a couple of years ago. It was great.
Yeah.
Absolutely great.
Yeah, I've never seen that one. I've
Yeah.
been watching that new one that came out, but it seems like they only got three made. I read After Disclosure though. It was pretty good. I liked it.
There were some interesting points about it. That how disclosure, it seems that it's never going to happen, but it's somehow inevitable, right? You know that we're not never going to be fully ready for disclosure the same way a young man is never fully ready to become a parent now, but sooner or later you're going to have to,
I love that.
Yeah.
to put up that, you know, have to rise to the
That's a
occasion.
great analogy.
And then
Yes.
one day you just wake up and you're doing a great job, right? It seems to
Fact.
happen like that.
Or
So,
uh,
So
Yeah,
that
go
kind of
ahead.
leads me to a question that well, one of my questions was your thoughts on disclosure, and you and I have been back and forth on some forums about it a little bit,
Yeah.
like during Grimerica podcast and that type of thing. But for me, when people always seem to think, oh, disclosure, like they're gonna admit all this stuff. Like for me, the meaning of disclosure is just when the scientific community and the media kind of opens up and starts taking it seriously, right? Like I don't care about the government admitting stuff so much as just everybody else being able to actually just accept that it's a legitimate phenomena.
Yeah, exactly. Because the politicians, they're always going to go with the flow, you know? If disclosure becomes an important issue in the political agenda, then somebody eventually will jump in the disclosure wagon, the same way that somebody eventually jumped into the gay rights wagon.
Yeah, good
But
point.
that was because the gay rights community fought and they protested and they made the issue visible and relevant for the public.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not until then, the politicians never raised their necks, no, on such a controversial issue.
Yeah.
But back to the thing about disclosure, I've been sharing some of my thoughts about it on the comment section of the Mysterious Universe website. It's such a tricky thing because on one hand, I would love it to happen, so I can finally go out and say I told you so to all the people who made fun of me when I was in high school, and I told them that I was interested in UFOs, and say, you're one of those silly flying saucers, right?
Yeah.
And then if someone like the United States president says, okay, we can confirm that some UFOs are evidence of an advanced civilization that's coming to the planet Earth, you will finally have your revenge, right? Yeah. But at the same time, I think, I agree with Greg Bishop when he says, do we really need the endorsement of these figures of authority in order to remain interested about UFOs, in order to know that UFOs are real? I mean, do we really need that seal of approval? It's like a paternalistic relationship. We're still looking for permission to believe in UFOs from the authorities and from the scientific community. We wanted to give us permission to think this is a real issue.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess for me, it feels like it's slowing it down, right? Like it's not enabling it to us to move forward in consciousness and technology or whatever. So I understand what you're saying, but for me, it's like they're putting a halt. They're putting a halt on the whole thing, right? That's kind of what bugs me about it.
I also agree with Greg Bishop when he thinks that the truth about UFOs is going to come from somewhere completely different from the ufology field. It's going to be coming out of left field, something completely unexpected, maybe, a major breakthrough in quantum physics, I know, with the Large Hadron Collider or whatever, or maybe a breakthrough with this new project that the Obama administration is preparing to map the human brain. It's going to be like something akin to the Genome Project that was undertaken in the 1990s. And maybe if they finally do this. They map the human brain, and they learn that consciousness is not located in the human brain, that consciousness is some form of epiphenomenon that happens outside the brain, and the human brain is not a generator of consciousness, but something more like a transmitter of consciousness, like a TV receptor.
Yeah.
Then that might cause the paradigm change that will force us to look with new eyes to all these other little annoying anomalies that we try to dismiss as not as silly things, UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot, the time slips, reincarnation,
astral
all
travel,
that. Exactly, precognition, remote viewing.
Yeah.
Maybe always things will fall into place.
Yeah.
After that previous other thing happens.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about xenoarchaeology being the method of disclosure? I saw the presentation from Ben McGee at the UFO Congress, and it was pretty fascinating how he was trying to go down that road of maybe finding some ruins on another planet would be the way that that this whole thing opens up.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. There's all this talk about weird structures that are found on not even on another planet, in our own natural satellite, on the moon. These structures that seem to be detected by the NASA probes that you kind of see it very blurry on their photographs, and there's talk that they have stored a huge amount of even more detailed photographs showing even more details of these ancient structures. But the problem is who controls the information, right?
Yeah.
Who can see those photos? All these accusations that someone in NASA uses Photoshop to paintbrush, to airbrush all these details, in order to obscure them, from the public view.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a possibility, It's the basis of the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Right.
And I also think that it was mentioned in a document prepared by the Battelle Institute on the request of NASA, about the possibility that the NASA might eventually find some archaeological remains from another civilization in one of the planets in the solar system.
I think they actually had a procedure for that, didn't they?
Well, the procedure was they cautioned NASA not to disclose it to the public, or to try to disclose it very delicately. Otherwise, there will be a major shock in the social structure. All the religions of the world will find this revelation too startling. All the scaremongering we always heard of.
And then you have Star Trek coming out in the 60s.
Exactly.
Starting to, and right through till now. Maybe, and Star Trek's a tricky one, because it always seems like the shit that Star Trek was doing 20, 30 years ago we're starting to see it now. Like, Star Trek's always been sort of almost
ahead of the curve.
Yeah, almost like a future outline. Like, it's been spot on a couple times, especially now with 3D printing basically turning into the food replicators and shit like that.
I'm not sure it's something of a predictive nature, or more like it is inspiring people to try to make that future vision a reality, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
All these young kids who saw the transmitter that Captain Kirk used to communicate with the Enterprise, and eventually some of those kids became engineers, and then they started working on cell phones, and sooner or later you have the Motorola flip cell phone that it's exactly like inspired by the Star Trek communicator, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's like a not as much as a prediction, but as trying to inspire people to to make that vision a reality, you know?
Yeah, that's a real good point. I've never looked at it like that. That's
everything starts with a thought, right? Everything starts with a thought and an idea.
Yeah.
And then we go from there. That's how things are physically created.
And some people might argue, I'm not actually one of those people, that those ideas might be transmitted by someone else, you know? Like, I view artists as some sort of channelers of information, you know?
Yeah, that's another deep rabbit hole we could go down.
Yeah, it's all about the rabbit holes, man. It's the only way you find interesting stuff.
Yeah, I've been digging down a rabbit hole for a couple of years now myself. Starting to lose sight.
Should we take a quick break?
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more from Red Pill Junkie. And we're back with more with Red Pill Junkie. Have you guys seen the video with Neil deGrasse Tyson and Dr. Sylvester James Gates, I think, about finding basically computer code and string theory?
I've heard about it. I think Neil mentioned it when he was in the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. That he told that he wasn't able to follow this idea that it was over him, so he wasn't able to, you know, pronounce himself against or for it.
Yeah, that's where I heard it too, I think.
Yeah, I just watched the video yesterday. It's pretty good. He's kind of blown away by it. But I'd suggest watching it for sure. Yeah, it's a good one.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, I just Googled... I Googled Neil deGrasse Tyson computer code or something like that, and it came right up. I think Micah was talking about it. That's why I think I went and looked for it.
Yeah.
Maybe on this week's Gralien Report.
Yeah, I think so too.
It might have been on his MU interview, actually.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It wasn't the last MU interview when he talked about his book, the UFO Singularity.
Yeah, I got to read that. I'm reading it this weekend, I think, because I think he's coming on in a couple weeks.
Oh, then you better read it before the interview, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I must confess, I haven't read it yet. Don't tell him.
I'm having a hard time keeping up on my reading. I really am. I love the audiobooks, so when it's not on audio, it's really hard for me to get to it.
Yeah, it's hard to go back to reading when you've been doing audiobooks, but I've just been forcing myself. Shut down all your electronics at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock on the weekend, and then the last hour. It's a good way to kind of wind yourself down anyway and sleep a little better.
Some people say that being in front of the computer monitor or watching television or playing a video game just before you're about to go to bed, it affects your sleep cycle. So what you're doing is actually the right thing.
Yeah, well, because I'm gonna be reading so many more books now. I was gonna buy one of those little Kindle e-readers because then the books are all cheaper. But then in the end, I decided, I'd rather have books on my bookshelf than another little piece of electronics.
That's one of the other things I love about Star Trek, because even though they were promoting, the future and new technologies, they also showed a respect about the traditional culture. You saw always Captain Picard reading Hamlet on a leather-bound book. That's really cool.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a question for you here. Do you do you pay attention to the mainstream at all? And like, if so, where do you get your balanced kind of fix on the mainstream from? Because I have a hard time paying attention to it, and sometimes I feel like I'm missing out. But then whenever I do watch it or listen to it, I realize like really I'm not missing much.
When you say mainstream, what exactly are you referring to?
Cable TV, I guess, cable news, radio, mainstream political stuff, I guess, or news. I guess mainly the news, I guess.
Okay. Well, I definitely don't watch as much television as I used to, most of my content right now, I get it directly from the net. I don't follow Mexican television. But I do read the newspaper. There's a newspaper in Mexico, Reforma. I'm subscribed to, so I follow the news there, and I also watch or read MSNBC, CNN, and all those websites. Yeah. To try to keep up. No, I think I know that nowadays some people prefer to go to InfoWars or go to Democracy Now, to all these what they call alternative news sites. Yeah. And I think that's cool, but I think you also need to keep an eye on what they call the mainstream in order to find a proper balance. To try to see what the other alternative sites are reacting to in the first place. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's hard for me to do that though, but that's one of my kind of goals is to try and find that balance. Yeah, I think it's wrong when people who are interested in these kind of topics, UFOs or ghosts or whatever, they only stick to reading UFO magazines, right? Yeah. I think that if you are interested in UFOs, you also you need to read as much about mainstream what's going on in science as possible. All these popular magazines like Discover or Scientific American or Wired even. Wired, Wired. Yeah. National Geographic. You have to have as broader a scope as you can possibly manage in order to then look at the things the UFO community is proposing, and then understanding why are they saying it's got to do about UFOs. Yeah.
That's the other thing I just love about Twitter is it's easy to get that easy balance right there just on my Twitter feed, because I can't sit down and watch the news, but it's easy to follow a little bit of everything and get your highlights throughout the day. Where can people find you on Twitter? The handle is Red Pill Junkie, I think, with underscores between each word. Yeah, I'll make sure I link to it in the notes too, so people can find you there.
I opened my Twitter account just last year. I think last November.
Yeah, right after I think we convinced you at Paradigm Symposium.
Yeah, no, I resisted it for a longest time because I thought to myself, and actually, proving me right, that if I join Twitter, then I will be even more drawn into the internet.
Right. Into the hive.
I mean, there is such a thing as an information overload.
Mm-hmm. And how do you find it?
The information overload?
No, how do you find being on Twitter now?
I mean, it's great fun. You can respond to the tweets of other people as even more quickly than with comments on a website. So I'm definitely addicted to it by now. Right. Yeah. And I think that right now, let me look up how many tweets I've sent since I opened it. Okay, I'm almost at 6,700 tweets.
So that's about 20 a day. No, it hasn't even been a year. It's only been 6 months.
Yes,
So
November. So
that's 50 a day.
at minimum. Hence the name Red Pill Junkie.
Yeah, that's right. So, has anything ever strange or unexplainable happened to you?
Yes, yes, it has. Even I wrote about it just about when we were getting back from the Paradigm Symposium.
Right.
The day after I had arrived to Mexico,
Oh, right.
I saw what I would consider to be a UFO. It was a very little light. It lasted less than a second, but it was very weird. It was the motion so quick from left to right and back again. That was like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
What's interesting is that I wasn't expecting for it, and I think that's a big component of this phenomenon, that it happens when you least expect it.
Yeah.
Not when you are actually waiting for it, because I'm the kind of guy that goes out at night, is walking on the park, and is always checking the sky, to see, okay, let's see, where's the mothership?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I seen mine before I wasn't even really into the subject yet. It was about 4 years ago. And I didn't even really get into the subject right after it. I had always kind of believed it, that it was a big possibility. And when I seen it, I was pretty blown away. There was a few of us. We were kind of, got a little giddy there for a minute. But, it wasn't life-changing or mind-blowing. Like, it was just like, boom, I think, for a week I was talking about it, and then it was just, just like happenstance.
I actually thought that the goddamn phenomenon was avoiding me, because, there was a time when my family went on a trip, and I decided not to go. Say, I don't want to go. I prefer stay home, watch TV, play video games, or whatever. And when they got back, they told me, okay, you're not going to believe it, but that's how I got them UFO. And I was like, God damn it. No?
That's funny. So that brings me to my sighting, which is weird, is that when I came up onto the rooftop hostel in Tel Aviv, my friends were pointing up at the sky, and they were exclaiming, "Oh, we're seeing something, or there's a UFO up there." So I ran over to them, and of course I'd missed it too, and I was like, "Oh my God, I missed this!" So I looked up in the sky, and I was thinking, "Please come back, I want to see you." And then I spotted it. So I totally know what you mean about the disappointment of thinking that you're missing a sighting.
Yeah, because I'm the one who reads about it, who's always trying to learn more about it, and obviously with UFOs, the more you read, the more you learn, the less you understand.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then I happened to come across several family members and saying, "Okay, yeah, I've seen a UFO once," and I was really, when it's going to be my time? Damn it!
So it's funny, Darren, you say that it wasn't life changing, but I bet you if you look back in 15 or 20 years, you may realize that it changed your life a little more than you thought.
Yeah, well, maybe I could see where I could see where that might come up, but it was really more when I started listening to the podcast that I became interested in the subject.
So you weren't interested in the subject when you were a kid?
Well, I'd always I loved the X-Files and stuff like that. I guess when I was a kid I was, but then when I first moved out west, it was more I kind of lost interest in pretty well everything but partying down. So then I guess once I settled down again with my family, and I had more free time on my hands that wasn't set aside for partying, then that's when I kind of fell back into it. So maybe you could say that interest was there when I was a kid, and maybe it was just on hold.
Yeah.
Well, with me, as long as I can remember, I've been interested in this subject and reading books about it, even in grade school,
Yeah.
I think I was about 5 years old when I saw the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That had a huge impact in me.
Yeah, me too.
And also there was this what you call the Mexican edition of the program 60 Minutes. And there was this one time when they showed an episode about this Swiss farmer by the name of Edward Billy Meyer, showing all these amazing photographs of these silvery discs on a very bucolic green forest background, right? And when I saw that, I said, "Whoa!" And obviously, later I studied the story of Billy Mayer, and I became heavily disenchanted with it.
Yeah.
But when you're a kid and you see these videos or these photographs of these very clearly defined silver discs, on color photos, say what you will about the Billy Mayer photos, but they're among the most beautiful UFO pictures you can find.
Yeah.
There's something very powerful about the stark contrast of these technological pure objects, with a very what you'll call it, very natural background.
Yeah, I agree. Have you ever thought about writing your own book or doing your own podcast?
Well, the podcast will be a hurdle. I think I need to improve my English skills and also find the time for it.
Yeah.
About the book, some people have suggested it to me. Nick Redfern, Mike, and say, okay, why don't you write a book yourself?
Yeah.
And right now, I don't see myself do it. It takes me such a long time to try to write something that is worth reading, or at least I think it's worth reading. So, I'm not like Nick. Nick can write, can churn out a new book every week or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe if he lends me his army of typewriting monkeys for a week, maybe I will come up with something.
Yeah.
But until now, no. I think I'm happy now with just being a blogger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the time you put into it's definitely worth it, because I definitely love reading your stuff, and I recommend everyone does.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But I might write a book one day. We'll see. I'm kind of happy with podcasting for now. I have trouble writing too. It takes me a long time to write a piece that I'm happy with. So that's kind of where I'm pretty good at yapping, so it's kind of easier for me to do my things in this kind of a platform, I guess, instead. But I still plan to write whenever I find something I want to get out there.
Yeah, well, I do believe that the creative process involves what you might call a phase of fermentation, when you're not really doing something, making some external output. You are just, taking it all in, letting it rest in your mind, letting it boil inside your head. And then you'll find yourself that after a while, something will pop up and you have something meaningful to say,
Yeah.
But there is definitely a phase of contemplation in the creative process.
Yeah. So what about your favorite kind of mystery or conspiracy? I mean, you do write about a lot of different things. You research a lot of different things. Your knack of finding these little things and adding them to people's forums is just amazing. So what do you really like the most out of all these genres?
Well, UFOs definitely is my favorite core subject in the Fortean world. I also interested in cryptozoology. When I was a kid, I was very interested in the Loch Ness monster. Yeah. I read the book written by Tim Dinsdale, the guy who filmed a strange object moving about the waters of the lake. I read that, and when you're a kid, you're convinced, oh my God, how cool is that to think that there is a lake in Europe when there is a living plesiosaur or a family of plesiosaurs still alive to this day. But now, as the years progress and you see how even the Robert Ryan's underwater photos have been debunked, the famous surgeon photo with the image with the long neck coming out of it, and say that it's a hoax. So now right now I think Bigfoot it's my favorite cryptid.
Right.
But definitely when it comes to all this, UFOs will be my first love.
What about the ropin? I think the ropin's my favorite. I want to see a giant ass pterodactyl flying around tearing shit up.
Do you think that's responsible for the native Thunderbird legends too, or is that different?
Maybe there's something about that, or maybe when you read about the Mothman prophecies and all these things, you start to consider even more alternative ideas, like, I don't know, thought forms, tulpas, all that things, all those things. I really think it's quite unlikely that you still have a prehistoric giant bear that is hiding itself in some remote parts of the United States. I mean,
yeah. When I think of Thunderbird, I think of like a Klingon bird of prey.
It's almost easier to believe in a tulpa or that type of scenario than it being a leftover ancient pterodactyl type thing.
Yeah, and even some people say that the Loch Ness Monster is some kind of a ghost or interdimensional being that was called out by Aleister Crowley when he was doing some weird magic sex orgies in his private house there in Lake Inverness, right? Yeah. I don't know. I like to consider both ideas. When it comes to Bigfoot, I don't have a problem visiting Cryptomundo when they are most of the people there. They are very orthodox in their views about these things. They think, okay, it must be some kind of unknown primate that is yet to be discovered, but there's nothing really paranormal about it. It's a biological flesh and blood being, right?
Yeah.
It eats, it sleeps, it shits. It must die somewhere, and somewhere there must be a Bigfoot carcass that we haven't just found yet. But then you see people like Nick Redfern and saying, okay, but how come we've never found a body? Or how about all these stories of people who have shot at Bigfoot and the bullets have just ricocheted out of its body, or the Bigfoots that have been seen along with UFOs, in Pennsylvania. I think it was the Silent Invasion book. I don't remember who wrote it, but all these weird just juxtapositions of different phenomena that the cryptozoologists, they just don't want to pay attention to. They want to keep the thing they've done, tracking the footprints and putting their trail cams and getting ready for when they finally capture one of these beings, either alive or dead.
I suppose it's sort of like the same thing that's going on the UFO front, right? You've got the old nuts and bolts crowd, and then you've got the new guys like Micah and Richard Dolan coming in and with the new things, and some of the old guys just aren't ready to hear it yet.
Yeah, that's what's part of the criticism some people raised with this past the citizen hearing on disclosure, how they should have stick to the nuts and bolts part of the phenomenon. Is only paying attention to the close encounters of the second kind when you have traceable evidence, radar returns, or maybe burn grass or whatever, But then you have people like Stephen Greer who thinks he can communicate with the UFOs with meditation. And not that I discount that. I actually think that consciousness plays an important role in the phenomenon. But the problem is, if you want to try to make a valid argument that will be considered by our current materialistic science. If you start talking about meditation and reincarnation and all those things, people will take you less seriously. That's the problem with the UFO.
Yeah, that's kind of that was my thought on it as well. I hadn't heard a lot of it, but like I had heard on MU some of the stuff that Linda Moulton Howe and Richard Greer were saying, and it's kind of, when you think of the audience that they were presenting it to, it was a little bit overboard. Like I'd consider myself part of the community, and even that stuff is a bit of a stretch for me. So someone who's just being introduced to the phenomena, it's got to just blow them right out of the water, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. You have to go baby steps, trying to say, okay, raise the issue that UFOs are real, that people with good credentials, with proper training in observation have seen them, have not been able to identify them, military pilots, commercial pilots, Navy personnel, astronomers. And then from there, you might try to consider where the phenomenon will lead you.
I think what happens in this situation is Stephen Bassett and Stephen Greer and Linda Moulton Howe go so far back to the mid-90s, and when Stephen Greer did his disclosure thing, it's almost impossible for Bassett to leave them out of this, right? It's like he's kind of probably forced to put them inside. I mean, my issue with people talking about it is how negative the UFO community is to itself, right? Everybody's doing what they can to move the thing forward, and everybody's got their own thing. And I wish there was just a little bit more acceptance in the community for what everybody's trying to do.
Well, it's exactly the difference between the ufology community approach and proper scientific approach. With science, you have things like peer review journals. You make a study and you show it to your peers, your colleagues, and you tell them, okay, please tell me what you think, criticize it. But with UFOs, everybody is trying to keep their cards close to their chest, as it were. If someone steps in other people's toes, say, hey, why are you investigating this case? This is my case. You stay out of it. This is my witness. Nobody talks with these witnesses except me.
Yeah.
You have all this entrenched, isolation between investigators. People don't want to share what they know, or they don't want to give good leads to other people, so they might take the investigation further. Why? Because, well, people in the UFO community make a living by selling books, selling the stories. So you don't want another competitor to break the news before you. That's exactly what happened with Bill Moore when he received the infamous Majestic 12 documents, and he wanted to have enough proper time to investigate and to see if they were real or not. But then they told him, you better hurry up because another of your colleagues is going to write a book about it soon. And so he was forced to rush and go and publish it before the other guy, and that's why the story broke up, and that's why it ultimately, ended his career.
Do you think that still happens now? I mean, I could see it happening back then, but do you think that that's still an issue now? There's really not a lot of money in it, though, for people with their books. I mean, I know some people make a living on their books, but not a lot.
I think just a handful of people in the community can actually make a living out of it. Stanton Friedman is always in the lecture circuit. Rich Dolan maybe, Moulton Howe, but that's about it. If you're interested in UFOs, stick with your day job.
Yeah, that's what we do. We
I mean, if you think you're gonna make a big money out of it, please think again.
Yeah, it's not like work by day, podcast by night, pretty much. It's got to be a
Exa-
passion.
yeah, exactly. It's gotta be a passion. If you're not doing it for the right reasons, if you are just not passionate enough about it, then you're only going to sticking to your old guns. Going about the same old cases. Saying nothing new. Then eventually you will be discarded. I think. You know.
All right, and we're back with Red Pill Junkie from the Daily Grail and Mysterious Universe, Intrepid Magazine, and others.
Grimerica.
And now Grimerica, yeah. So we were just having a pretty cool little chat in the break there about what were we talking about?
We're talking about the social networks and how people will try to find ways to stay off the grid,
Oh
right?
yeah, staying off the camera. Yeah, and hipster coffee shops now saying they're Wi-Fi free, and if you can't wonder if that'll be the new resort thing.
Definitely, maybe some lost island in the Bahamas when people won't be allowed to use any kind of cell phone or tablet, and so they will be able to make, Roman orgies right on the pool table, the pool or something.
Sign me up.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we got to worry about anyone taking pictures of what we're doing just yet.
Well, not just yet, but we'll see.
I'm glad I don't have to live that kind of lifestyle. Can you imagine? I would have got myself into shit quite a few times when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yes, especially these kids like, I don't know, Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera who attained fame at such an early age, so they never had a chance to have a normal childhood, a normal adolescence. They had to cope with being so popular, and people wanting to follow them everywhere. That must be unnerving.
I wonder if anyone's working on something like that, photo jamming or photo invisibility, because it's got to be easier to, bending light.
It reminds me of that novel of Philip K. Dick as Connor Darkly.
I knew you were going to say Philip Dick, yeah.
Philip K. Dick. Yeah. That movie, Keanu Reeves started that these agents of the DEA were using some kind of, I don't remember the term, some kind of scrambling suit that will allow them to remain anonymous. I think that sooner or later we're going to see something like that. You use that, and even if someone takes a picture of you, the image will scramble or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even suits that can change your face and stuff like that won't be.
Yeah,
far
exactly.
off.
Exactly.
And it's getting close. Like it seems like every week there's some crazy medical or technological breakthrough that's just shoving you down that road further and further.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there was a Times magazine cover with a picture of a baby saying this baby is going to live to be 120 or something like that.
Yeah, and I've even heard people say that the children that'll live forever have already been born.
Yeah, something to that effect. But I'm worried about that because it has the potential to divide the human race even further. The Eloi and the Morlocks, the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
The people that have you seen the trailer for the movie Elysium?
Yeah, I have.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's exactly.
where they
You
live
see,
off Earth.
yeah, they live over this super, super, super rich, and you see this girl who you think is in his late 20s, and he has her own medical scanner and detects, the s- and the beginning of some tumor, some cancer tumor, and it automatically eradicates it. So they say, okay, so this woman maybe she's in her 50s or something.
Yeah.
She's going to live forever if she has uh, that capacity.
Yeah, and it could definitely become a problem. Hopefully, we can use the technology that needs to be developed kind of along the road to get us there will hopefully start addressing some of these problems along the
But
way.
but at the same time, you have the problem of overpopulation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's where, like personally, I think GMOs and things like this are going to become an inevitable part of the future.
Yeah,
Like to me, in 100 years or even in 50 years, probably closer to 100, people might look back and say, I can't believe those motherfuckers used to kill and eat cows. Like,
yeah,
why would they even do that? We can just grow this shit and make it taste well, however you want,
yeah,
be better for you, and we don't have to. I can just see it seems like we're in a weird transition period right now, but I mean, maybe it's because the science isn't quite there yet, or people are still kind of skeptical about it, but to me it's inevitable. And that to me is the cure for world hunger and things like this. And fusion technology coming about along the way can only further like in my future, I'd like to say in the next 20 years that hopefully a lot of this world hunger and stuff like this starts to see some relief.
yeah, definitely. It's interesting how in India the cow is a sacred animal. You're not allowed to eat it. So maybe in 100 years, the cows will be completely banned from the earth. Because if you think about it, the cattle, it it puts a lot of strain in the environment, in our food and water resources, even in our atmosphere.
Yeah.
All the cow farts or the that are expelling methane to the atmosphere, and methane is a very serious how you call it,
Greenhouse
greenhouse
gas. Yeah.
gas, exactly. I remember that how Micah on the Grayling report talked about the subject of lab-grown meat, and he was kind of dismissive about it. He said, "No, thanks, but I stick to my my beer to my burgers." And then I commented and said, "Well, you might want to do that, but the problem is that you have 8 billion people uh, who want to have the same access to meats than you,
Yeah.
and there's just no way to create that amount of meat in the natural or
In a
traditional ways."
sustainable way. In a sustainable
Exactly.
way. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
either we come up with some kind of lab-grown meat that will allow us to feed all the people of the world, or we're going to have to genetically alter the human population so they can reduce the intake of nutrients they need, something like that.
Or
Yeah.
even just where it comes down to your eating a couple pills each day.
Yeah, maybe we'll become just like the Greys. All those speculations that the Greys, they, instead of eating by the mouth, is chewing their food, they like spread it on their skin, and
Yeah, they just absorb it that
they
way.
absorb it like plants or something.
I don't know. Lately, I've been drinking more smoothies, like kale, and frozen fruit smoothies with a bunch of protein powders and greens and all that stuff. Chaga mushroom and all, I'm eating way less. Like I think I'm getting a lot of what I need out of some of that type of stuff.
I once read an article about some scientists that was proposing the idea that the human population should reduce its size. Not about, I mean the stature. Like I'm 6'4", so obviously I need way more food and water than a person who is just, I don't know, 5 foot or 5, right?
Yeah.
So what he was proposing, this scientist, was, well, maybe we should try to genetically alter humanity so that people will reduce their size, and so they will reduce their needs. Obviously, a few of us at Daily Grad will say, "What the hell?" I'm happy with being 6'4". Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
And I don't like being 5'5". I'd rather be, or 5'6". I'd rather be 6 foot myself. So
yeah,
you don't want to be shrinking down.
I wanted to be 7 foot, but I don't get.
Fell a little short.
Yeah.
So are you going to Paradigm this year?
No, definitely. I need to buy the tickets though, but no, I'm definitely going.
Yeah, I gotta buy a ticket there too. I don't know. It's still I'm having a baby on the. I think we're due like November 6th or 10th or something. So
Really?
yeah, so it's gonna be touch and go. But I think I'm gonna go anyway, and I can be home in 5 hours realistically.
Okay.
If I need to be, because I think there's 3 or 4 flights a day.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to meeting you guys again. I mean, last year was an unbelievable experience for me.
Yeah.
Meeting all these like-minded people who were so polite, so friendly.
Yeah,
so
open-minded.
Exactly. I think many people, even regular attendees to these kinds of conferences, were highly impressed with the atmosphere that was created thanks to the hard work of our friends Micah and Scotty Roberts.
Yeah.
Hopefully we will be able to recreate the same atmosphere once again.
I think so.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of returning faces, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely. There will be our friend Candy, from Alaska.
Yeah.
And her sister, Lane Carmen.
Yeah, I can't wait.
There's also going to be Ben, Aaron, and Elliot. They're going to bring Elliot now too.
Oh, are they coming? They're coming again for sure this year?
Yes, definitely.
Oh, so that'll be good. I gotta try and make it to that. Hopefully, hopefully I gotta go for it. The only thing that might change my plans is if the baby comes early, and you know what I mean. If there's signs right before, but I mean, the chances I think it'll be early enough. I should be all right, but family comes first, so.
Oh, of course. But if you have the chance, it will be great. Maybe we could record one of these podcast sessions during our stay.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Great. Is like because there's probably 3 or 4 podcasting people that'll be there. Maybe we could all get together and have a big round table or something.
Yeah, that would be great. They wanted to do that with the Gralien report at the Mysterious Universe, but unfortunately, at the final hour, they couldn't do that. There was so many last-minute things to deal with, so it was put on hold.
Yeah, this year they'll be a little more prepared, I'd imagine.
I hope so.
But yeah, we're having Scotty and Mike on in the coming episodes here, so I'd imagine we'll hear all about the plans for this year's Paradigm.
Did you hear the story that Micah told on the plus section of Mysterious Universe?
Yep.
Yeah, about going up the mountain and the little girl.
Well, the voice of a little girl.
Yeah.
That creeped him out.
Yeah, like Aaron was saying, kids are creepier than like even when I watch a movie, when the kid's the creepy one, that shit's creepy to me. That's creepier to me than when it's just some axe murder or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that Japanese movie Ringu,
Oh yeah, that shit is fucked up, man. That's too much.
I just like how he didn't discount the experience either, right? Because I've had some experiences where I've physically felt things, like in a Reiki session or in a meditation, like a meditation to activate chakras, where I've physically felt something happening in my body, and it's similar to hearing something like that, right? And it was a real experience for me. So I just liked hearing Micah talk about that and not discount it as a figment of his imagination. You know, even though that may be one of the possibilities, that wasn't kind of where he went with it.
Yeah, I think that he is opening up more to these kind of experiences and ideas. He used to be a little more skeptical about it, but ever since he went to the Hidden Experience podcast with Mike Leland, and Mike asked him, "Okay, so have you had any kind of paranormal experiences?"
Oh, yeah, the synchronicities.
Yeah, and Micah said, "No, nothing." I said, "Oh, how about synchronicities?" "Oh, yeah, plenty of them." I said, "Well, why do you think that synchronicities aren't paranormal experiences?" And I think that clinched in Micah, like making him say, "Huh," and make him reappraised his experiences, you know?
Interesting.
Not just discounting them. Oh, well, I'm sure it's just a coincidence. I'm sure this was just a dream. This was just a figment of my imagination. You know, you need to pay attention, like Mike says.
Yeah.
I heard him on that. That was a good episode. Speaking of creepy kids, did you ever see that Star Trek episode, like the original Shatner and Nimoy, where they went to that planet and it was nothing but those crazy kids?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, that was a good one. I remember we watched that in school for some reason. We watched it in like grade 10 or grade 8 maybe.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was weird. I was like, why are we watching this? I was cool with it because I like Star Trek and it was cool, but it seemed weird.
It's interesting when you start to learn about all these things that a lot of paranormal phenomena seem to center around kids around the age of 11 or 12 years old, you know, just about when they are going to hit the puberty.
Yeah.
There's something about that. There's something about maybe their brains going in overdrive because of all these hormonal changes in their body, and maybe they become more open, more attuned, more sensible to things than the adults, you know. That's why you hear about poltergeists or demonic possessions or all these things happening to kids around that age.
Yeah, well, hopefully my kids don't have to go through anything like that. I can't remember, you know, if I've decimated my memory too much to think back that far, but I remember when I watched the Unsolved Mysteries one time where they showed those creepy little alien things that crawled across the ceiling and they look like spiders. I don't know if you ever seen that, but I remember I watched that episode and like for like weeks after that I swore I seen those things all over my fucking place. That would probably been when I was around that age, but I think it was more of watching things I shouldn't have been watching.
Let me ask you something. What will you do if one of your kids will come to you and say, "Hey, Daddy, I think I saw something in my bedroom or something like, you know, a face watching me or whatever." How would you react to that?
Well, you know, I've thought about that before, and I think the only way that I can react is by telling her that I've got to tell her it's not real. I can't put in a child's head to start thinking that monsters are real. You know, when she gets to an old enough age, I'd be willing to open up that box. But I mean, you know, at this age, even when the fish die, I try and hide it from her. You know what I mean? There's certain things that need to be wait for certain times. Because, you know, if my 6-year-old daughter comes and tells me that, you know, she's got a ghost in her or a monster in her closet, I can't start explaining to her different theories about what it could be.
You're gonna say,
yeah, well, there might be a portal.
Yeah, it could be ethereal.
But you know,
did it have horns? Did it have a? You know?
It's better if I need to play it off like, you know, no, there's no such thing as monsters, to a certain extent.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but you want to make an environment of security around your children, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, at the same time, I don't really believe in monsters either. I don't know. I just couldn't see myself telling my kid that, yeah, there might be a monster in your
Yeah,
closet,
yeah.
but
Yeah, I think it's best if you just tell her or him that it's something he imagined or
yeah,
something.
exactly, part of his imagination. And you're probably not lying to them. Just
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and then when she gets older, I mean, she's gonna figure out that her dad's a bit out there eventually anyway. So
But are you going to hide from her all your books about UFOs? Even if they have, the famous communion book with the image of the gray and the cover. Will you hide it from her?
no, no, I try not to hide anything from her. When she's old enough to read stuff like that, then by all means, I'll encourage whatever road she decides she wants to go down.
Well, I read that book when I was in my late teens. I think I was 17, 16, and I had to sleep with the lights on for about 6 months, man. I couldn't go to bed with the lights off. The goddamn book creeped me out.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I had,
I remember it was Jaws for me when I first saw the movie Jaws. I couldn't go in the
uh,
water for a while, even in the lake. Like there's zero chance of a shark being there. But
oh yeah, my bigger sister Angelica, she hates sharks because of that movie. She wants all sharks to be exterminated from the face of the earth because of Jaws.
I'd like to go. I plan to go sometime in my life down to, I think in San Francisco they offer um, cage
Uh,
cage cage dives with great whites. I'd really like to see one of those face to face. If
I wouldn't,
if I'm
I,
in a
would-
cage.
I wouldn't like to do that, but I would like maybe to dive with one of those whale sharks.
Yeah,
But,
I was just down in Mexico in Puerto Morelos,
mm,
and we wanted to do that, but it was the wrong season.
yeah. Well, when is the season when you can
I
dive
th-
with the?
I think it's maybe spring
Mm,
because we were there in January, and I think I can't remember. We were either a couple months late for it or a couple months early,
yeah.
but
Well,
it looked amazing.
maybe we should maybe we should organize some trip. Get everybody. You and Graham and Mike and Caleb and go to, I don't know, Palenque or Chichen
Oh
Itza.
yeah,
All
Chichen
the
Itza.
cool trip.
Yeah, yeah. I went to Chichen Itza. It blew me away.
Yeah, for sure.
It
Yeah,
was
I
that's on my
good.
haven't.
There
list.
was so many. The only thing that was kind of disheartening is so many people chasing me down trying to sell me things.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But I can see where they need to make some money too.
It's like that in Egypt too. Believe me, it's really bad in Egypt.
And then
Yeah,
they're
also,
like, "Yeah, this is 50 cents." And then by the time you get over there, it's back up to $10. And it's like, "Yeah, but or this is $3." And then by the time you got your wallet out, it's up to 15.
Yeah,
And
it's
yeah,
almost
yeah, yeah.
free. Almost free.
yeah.
Yeah, you have the same thing in Teotihuacan, here closer to Mexico City.
Yeah.
All the street vendors and the chasing around the people they know they have dollars. They know how to pinpoint and I'm trying to stay with them like leeches.
Yeah, I like Chichen Itza. I like Tulum too. I like Tulum was a little more refreshing because it was on the ocean.
Yeah.
Chichen Itza was hot.
It's interesting because did they show you in Tulum what they call the butterfly god? A guy like it's like a bas relief of a humanoid figure like coming down from the sky. I remember when I went there, some people say, "Oh yeah, that's an ancient astronaut coming down from space."
Yeah, I seen a couple things that I had seen on Ancient Aliens for sure. I got pictures of everything. I've been meaning to put them up on the website for I guess 3 or 4 months now.
Yeah.
I almost got started. Now I have to do a bunch of more changes to the website, so I'm not really putting anything on there for other than the podcast probably for the next couple of weeks.
Do you read about the pyramid that was raised in Belize? I think.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's just terrible.
Yeah, I think the same thing has happened in Mexico many times. You know, the oil company when was prospecting from wells in the state of Tabasco, they destroy a lot of Olmec ruins,
Well,
and
you get,
it breaks my heart because imagine maybe there was hidden, you know, the key to solving the mystery of these ancient civilizations. You know, maybe there's some remnant from, I don't know, Atlantis or whatever.
well, yeah, that's what I was thinking about the other day. Is if that's the one you hear about, I wonder how many of these different sites in the jungle that oil companies or logging
Yeah,
companies are discovering, and they're just not telling anybody.
yeah, you'll never hear about it because they destroy them without permission. You know.
Yeah, exactly, and just erase it from the face of the earth because they know damn well if they start telling people that they're not going to get their trees or they're not going to get their oil or what have you.
Yeah, they're cutting up some trees, and maybe they dug up the skeleton of a giant, and a 9 foot giant, and they destroyed it because it was going to be such a hassle.
Whatever happened with that documentary that was split? Remember that documentary was supposed to prove that the Maya had contact and it
Ah, it
was
was
supposed to come out last fall and then it just disappeared.
yeah, it was a scam.
It was a scam, eh?
Yeah, this guy, I don't remember his name. He claimed to be the son of the famous actor Raúl Julia, uh, and he claimed he was making some documentary that was backed by the Mexican government that is going to prove the Mayas had contact with extraterrestrials. What I think happened is this guy managed to dupe some investors and ran with the money.
Huh.
Maybe he even managed to dupe some a few low-level uh, officials in the Mexican Department of Tourism, you know, but the story was a hoax.
Yeah, well, you'd imagine the Department of Tourism is ready to run with anything like that if they can start bringing in more people.
Yeah, they tried to exploit the Mayan apocalypse card last year, you know, trying to say, well, you know, if the world's gonna go, maybe the safest place to be is near those ruins, you know. So you better come here and bring your dollars too.
Yeah, well, I would think it'd be the worst place to be, but because
Yeah,
maybe that's where, if you look at apocalyptic events as being regional instead of global, then they could have very well been just predicting their own demise, if they were predicting demise at all, which I never really thought they were.
yeah, me too. I
It's
think.
amazing how many people just jump right on that ship.
Well, I think many people have something of a death wish, you know.
Yeah, it seems crazy to me. Like, I don't know. To me, it's always, even Y2K and then 2012, it's always been like, no, that's not happening. Come on.
Yeah, I'm amazed by what they call the prepper culture in in the United States. All these people that are willing to devote themselves to build a bunker and store as many weapons as they can. So if their neighbors come running down to them, they will be able to shoot them out. You know,
Yeah,
and
if their
you know,
neighbors need food, they can blow them away.
survive a couple of more years after civilization crumbles down. You know, I wouldn't do that. You know.
No, I'll cut my losses.
Yeah, if the shit's gonna hit the fan, man, then I would rather go, no, I don't know, like the Romans, you know, with a big party, you know, say, okay, I enjoyed myself, I have no regrets, you know. So
Let's
if
go.
it's time to go, let's go.
Did you see have you seen the trailer for World War Z?
I
No,
saw it.
I haven't.
It's pretty
Oh,
creepy.
that's a crazy zombie movie.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty
I'm
creepy.
getting sick of zombie movies, but that's a new angle at it for sure, where the zombies are just piling up against that. Ugh.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, American culture definitely has a fetish with the
I've
zombie.
never understood that myself.
Maybe they're
I
getting,
just don't
maybe
get it.
they're, well, if they're fucking getting us ready for ancient aliens, maybe they're getting us ready for zombies.
Well, when back in the 50s, the zombie was kind of a cultural criticism of capitalism. You devote all your life and energy to try to make ends meet, keeping up with the Joneses. Sooner or later, you don't realize you became a goddamn zombie, man.
Huh.
A mindless drone, just trying to go with the system.
Eke your way through.
Exactly. So I think there's something of that. And now there's something about, people wishing a way to anarchy, I think. People are really looking forward to the goddamn zombie apocalypse because they will be able to take out their chainsaw, their shotguns, and start shooting everything that moves,
I can't wait. I'm ready.
No.
But I suppose we should wrap it up here. We're starting to run a little bit long. I guess we might as well throw it out there now that Red has agreed to come on every couple of episodes with us here at the Grimerica show and fill us in on what's going on with the world of Forteana. So we'd like to thank you for that, of course, Red. Thanks a lot for coming aboard.
Guys, thank you so much for inviting me. This has been so fun. I'm definitely ready to make this as often as you want me to, It'll be an amazing experience.
That's great. Yeah, it's been really good chatting with you, and I can't wait to see you again in October at the Paradigm Symposium.
Yeah. Get your tickets ready if you haven't bought it yet, people.
Yeah, we better get them soon before they sell out, eh? But okay, well, and that'll end our chat with Red Pill Junkie. Thanks, and come back real soon.
Thanks. Adios.
So that was our chat with Red Pill Junkie. I really enjoyed it. Graham, how'd you find it?
I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's just excellent. He's decided to become a regular staple, so I think we'll have him probably every two or three episodes. He can come on and bring us up to date.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to chatting with him on a regular basis.
It's pretty funny that he was talking about everyone flocking to Mexico for 2012 and the end of the world. Because actually when me and my wife were down there for our honeymoon the first week of January, the ruins were all parts of them were closed off because of the damage from the 2012 people that showed up. So I guess there was just tens of thousands of people crammed in there and crawling on everything and breaking shit. And that was pretty funny. And then I thought it was pretty funny how we launched our website on that same day. The calendar ended. So
yeah, that was when Grimerica officially started.
Yeah, December 21st. We rung in the new year with the new Bach tune, so that's pretty neat.
And speaking of first, I've got our first book here. Came in the mail, care of Grimerica, The Voice of Rolling Thunder. It's a medicine man's wisdom for walking the red road.
Oh, yeah, the Stanley Krippner one.
Yep, so I'm looking forward to starting that.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Stanley Krippner is a PhD, a psychologist. I think he's a parapsychologist too, and he's got some pretty neat ideas and has done some pretty interesting research. So he'll be fun to talk to. He's coming up probably in the first or second week of June. We'll have that out. But have you started the book yet?
No.
Oh, when are you starting?
As soon as we hang up.
Are you starting tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to try to start it tonight.
I still got to finish the UFO Singularity today.
Yeah.
I think I have 35 pages after. I'm on chapter, the second last chapter. It's the observers or the controllers or something like that.
Yeah, the last chapter is really good. So you got the
conclusion?
Yeah.
Or the one where he's talking about Mac Tony's, where it kind of gets dark. It starts with the Mac Tony's quote, I think.
Yeah, they're both good. The end of the book is good. Yeah, and all the topics and websites that we've talked about too will be listed in the show notes along with the music. Anything else you have to add to that, Darren?
Okay, well, I'd like to put out a big thanks to Red Pill Junkie again for coming on and agreeing to be a regular guest. We'll see you next week with Micah Hanks. Graham, it's been a good time.
Yeah, we're officially on iTunes now too, so download us on iTunes.
Oh yeah, and yeah, if you have time, leave a review. And thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you when we see you.
See you later. Ciao.